All right, good evening, everyone. I'm pleased to welcome everyone to our September membership meeting. And as a reminder, if you joined midway through our pre-meeting program, we have a YouTube channel. So this meeting, as well as other meetings, as well as all of our pre-meeting programs are located there. And Carla will include the link in the chat for everyone. I'm Graham Murphy, Chair of the 34th, and I'm officially calling the September 2023 meeting of the 34th District Democrats to order at 6:53 p.m. Before we get totally started, I just have a few announcements. First, I just want to acknowledge some of our awesome achievements over the summer, including a lot of in-person gatherings. So we've marched in multiple parades this summer, attended many local community events, including a couple of candidate forums. And I really want to thank our outreach chair, Steve Butts, for all of his work coordinating those activities. We held a really well-received candidate forum. And thank you to the team who helped design those excellent questions and moderate and set up the event. And our friends at the West Seattle blog who helped record and distribute the forum to those that couldn't join in person. We seamlessly managed two, at least on the front end, seamlessly managed two technology intensive endorsement meetings. And thank you to those of you who pulled those off, and also on the back end dealing with all of the hiccups with grace and composure. And also want to give a shout out to our new membership and hospitality chair, Hannah Cameron, who really jumped in along with her husband and address some of our back-end coding and technology that made it all happen. We approved and made contributions to our endorsed candidates and made sure we got them funds as soon as possible after completing our endorsements. We completed and distributed election education materials to our PCOs. And again, thank you to Steve and Carla Rogers and Dorothy Gasek for making sure that happened. And then we pulled off a successful fundraiser. So thank you to our nimble and creative fundraising team for that effort, and to Julie Whitaker for managing our books and all the various transactions that went into that. And then this past weekend, it was wonderful to see everyone. We could not have asked for a better day on Lincoln Park at our picnic that included members and some of our kids there and dogs. So it was great to see everyone down by the water. With that in mind, we do have some in-person events coming up on September 29th. We are going to have a joint social with our friends in the 33rd. So join us on Friday, September 29th at Elliott Bay Brewery in Burien. And then this Saturday, we march in the South Park Parade. So please, I encourage you to sign up and march with us. There'll be a link in the chat for, oh, it's already there. Link in the chat for that. That's gonna be a really fun parade, and I know at least one of our candidates will be marching with us there. And then we are planning some canvassing activities for candidates, and Carla's going to share more details about these later, but just quickly, October 9th in Burien and October 21st, we'll have a PCO kickoff and canvassing in West Seattle. Additionally, we are getting ready to print our PCO materials in the for the general election. But I do recognize that there are some PCOs who work in precincts that maybe have a bunch of high rises or mid-rise buildings that are secured and difficult to get into. So using postcards or door hangers may not be an effective method. And then we also, I know that there are some folks that unfortunately may be out of town during this period. So we just want to make sure that we are using our resources wisely and also printing only what we need. So we have a survey. If you can take it if you're a PCO, but only take it if you have a reason that you cannot use the printed materials. And so we'll make sure that we right size our order. And if you could take the survey by September 20th, that would be awesome. Lastly, I'm happy to share that we have every intention to hold our next membership meeting in person, which I know is exciting for some folks, on Wednesday, October 11th. And we'll share via email details on location. We're still working to secure a location, but we're hoping to also, if you can't join in person, have some sort of accessible option for you to join via Zoom. If you want to join online, it will likely be an imperfect experience if you're joining online, especially if, as we're trying to attempt this hybrid approach initially. So bear with us, but hopefully those of you that have expressed excitement and really pushed me on having an in-person meeting, hope you will show up and participate in that way. On a different note, I'd like to share a more process-based update. So as I shared earlier, I'm really proud of our endorsement meetings and our process overall. I think we managed it in an inclusive and equitable manner, and every candidate had a fair opportunity to receive our endorsement. And I'm proud that we've endorsed a slate of candidates who are qualified and really an exceptionally diverse slate of candidates too. But as I'm sure some of you know, I've certainly received some questions. Some of you have asked us questions about our endorsement process and our bylaws related to them. Earlier this year, we approved changes to our standing rules, but we put a pause on updating our bylaws, though we do have some changes that we're interested in making until our endorsement process was over. So after this meeting, our endorsement process is pretty much over for this cycle. So I'd like to use this opportunity to share that if anyone has any suggestions for bylaws changes, to send them to Jordan Crowley, who I saw just joined the meeting, and or myself, as soon as you can, and be as specific as possible with your suggestions. So not just looking for, I don't like this bylaw, but like come with actual suggestions for what alternative options could be. And then my goal is that we will be able to vote on potential bylaws changes in an upcoming meeting in Q1, since it does require a period of approval by the board and then a waiting period for PCOs to review them before they're able to be voted on. And by the time we go through that process, we'll probably be in Q1, especially since we don't really meet in December. Okay. So the screen shows the proposed agenda for our meeting this evening. This was previously sent to PCOs and members. Is there any discussion or question about the agenda?
I move approval of the agenda. Ann Martin.
All right. Are there any objections to the adoption of the agenda? Any objections? All right, hearing no objections, the motion passes by unanimous consent and the agenda is adopted. The next screen shows our minutes from the August 9th meeting. The minutes were previously sent to PCOs and members. Are there any corrections to the minutes that anyone's identified that you'd like to share? Any changes or corrections? All right, may I have a motion, please, for the minutes?
So moved for approval.
Thank you. Are there any objections to the adoption of the minutes from the August 9th meeting? All right, hearing no objections, the motion passes by unanimous consent and the minutes are adopted.
I'm sorry, who
that was Ann Martin, I believe.
Ann Martin, okay.
Yeah.
What do you think?
All right, I'm going to now turn things over to our treasurer, Julie Whitaker, to review our financial report for August. Julie.
Hi, everyone. Our beginning August 1st balance was $23,725.55. Our income was $1,711.21. Our expenses were $6,235.71. The bulk of these were campaign contributions and other regular expenses. Our month-end balance was $19,201.05. And we got 329 members.
In
That's-
PCOs.
That's
Yeah.
great. Yes. Do I have any questions? I will put in here that our income includes a refund from a campaign contribution. Patricia Hudson's campaign refunded it erroneously. So that will be repaid out of September. It cleared on September 8th. So take 750 away from that, basically, but it comes out in September. Got it?
Got
So in our treasurer's report, what it shows we have for campaign contributions is $750 less than that amount. All we have left is 825 in campaign contributions. I'm putting this out here now because we're going to add later to campaigns. And somebody may say there's more money in there to do more, but there really isn't. We have 825 left. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you for clarifying
I'm just
that
trying
and
to head it
reviewing
off at the pass.
All right. Well,
Okay.
thank you so much, Julie. All right, we will file this report. I'm now going to turn things over to Preston Anderson, one of our KCD reps, to share our land acknowledgement. Preston.
Hello, everyone. I apologize for the background noise. I'm finishing up with some dance classes. I guess when you're not running the campaign, you're taking dance classes. So forgive me. But anyways, I'd like to take this moment to acknowledge that the land that we are standing on and that we do business on. So on behalf of the 34th LD Democrats, I acknowledge the land on which we stand today as a traditional home of the Coast Salish and Duwamish people, the traditional home of all tribes and bands within the Suquamish, Tulalip, Snoqualmie, Puyallup, and Muckleshoot nations. Without them, we would not have access to this gathering or to this dialogue. I ask that we take this opportunity to thank the original caretakers of this land on which we live and work and who are still here. As a part of the 34th Dems commitment to walking the walk of taking action that goes beyond simply a verbal land acknowledgement, we're also offering ways that you can take action with us by donating to organizations that benefit Indigenous communities in our district and across the country. And so as I turn off my camera, I'll go ahead and paste that information into the chat box. People can go ahead and follow that link. And if they so choose to do so, they can donate to the organization that is listed in the chat box. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Preston. And good luck with the dancing. All right. I now want to recognize Sydney Moore, a Burien Council member in attendance, who asked to share a brief update on what's going on in Burien. Sydney.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for having me here tonight. I wanted to touch bases with you all a little bit on the homelessness crisis in Burien. First off, I want to thank the 34th for their advocacy in this on this subject. As many of you are aware, the Burien City Council has been deliberating on what actions to take regarding several small encampments that have been located throughout our city. We have had some shifting of one encampment. We still have an existing encampment on the northern end on Ambom and 120th. Our city council has not taken any substantial action to alleviate this crisis. We still have $1 million on the table from King County on offer. But at this time, our council is considering passing an ordinance that is commonly referred to as a camping ban, but in reality is essentially a ban on anybody sleeping in our city unhoused, or even so much as carrying a blanket. So if you look into the language of the upcoming draft ordinance 818, which will be on the city council's agenda this upcoming Monday, It specifies that this ban would apply to anyone even so much as carrying bedding. So as winter and the cold season approaches, this is a particularly heinous language to be levying against our most vulnerable population. And I'm hoping that the 34th will speak out in opposition to this. You can contact our city council via email. The best way to do it is to email us at council@bureaunwa.gov. Also, attending the meeting on Zoom or in person is absolutely a very, very good way to advocate. The more bodies we have in seats, the more pressure council feels. And so our meeting will start at 7 p.m. this coming Monday, September 18th. If you have any questions, please always feel free to reach out to me. I'll post my personal contact in the chat. I'm happy to answer any questions or connect with you. If there's any way that you feel I can be helpful to your advocacy. But this is something that doesn't just impact Burien. This is something that will also have a ripple effect across our region. Many places look to Burien as a leader in many ways. And when we work to push people out of our city, they don't just disappear, they go other places. So we're concerned that not only are we causing undue burden on our homeless population, but we're going to be shifting them around to other areas that already have their own unhoused population they're struggling to care for. So with that, again, thank you all so much for your advocacy on this issue thus far. And I hope to hear from some of you before Monday on this issue.
And Cindy, one more time, what time is the meeting on Monday?
The meeting is at 7 p.m. and it's at Burien City Hall, the Burien Library. People are welcome to attend in person. If you can't attend in person, you can actually Zoom or call in, and you can give public comment through Zoom as well. So if for whatever reason you're not able to come down to the council meeting, please consider offering public comment through Zoom. It makes a huge difference to have voices in our community speaking out against this issue, and we honestly could use all the help we can get.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you
for your efforts.
Of course.
All right, I'm gonna now turn things over to Carla to share more details about the canvassing events.
Excuse me, Graham.
Yeah.
There's a note in the chat asking where the link to the Burien meeting can be found.
Oh,
I can work on that after I do my little bit here and put it in the chat. And Sydney, if you want to give a link to the page, that's cool too, but I can do it as well.
I'll post a link to the agenda in the chat, which you can find information on how both the time and place of the meeting and also how you can zoom in. Just a quick note, it will give you information on how you can submit written comment to Burien City Council, but recently they have changed the way that we receive written comments so that any written comments sent to us through this method are delivered to the council after the meeting. So it's not great. I would advise you to submit any written commentary to us directly via email, and I'll post that direct email in the chat as well.
thank you.
Cool. And I actually am just going to take a second. I have my hand up as well, Graham, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I go to these meetings about half the time and watch them when I don't actually go in person. You don't have to be a Burien resident to comment. It's a great show of support. It's kind of like a left side of the room versus right side of the room kind of situation when you go in person. Sit on the cool people side and be help have some solidarity behind these issues. It is really powerful when we raise our voices and speak collectively, regardless of whether we live in Burien or not. We are very close neighbors. I'm very parallel in my neighborhood to Burien, and it affects my community as well. So encourage anyone and everyone to participate in those meetings.
Thank you, Carla. And just to note, if you do give public comment, you're not required to state what city you live in or your address or anything like that. Some people choose to, but you're absolutely not required to. So if that's anything of concern, please feel free to omit that. And just kind of hitting home what Carla said, community doesn't end at city limits. Those city lines are not going to make a difference when it comes to the health and well-being of our people. And what happens here absolutely has an impact on our neighbors. So this is something that impacts all of us.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, it's a super segue though to what I want to talk about here for a moment. I am working to make sure that we have some support from the 34th in a Burien canvas as well as a West Seattle focused canvas. This is our job as Democrats. This is our job to support getting the vote out. I encourage anyone and everyone to dedicate 2 hours of your time. That's it. Of course, more is better, but 2 hours of your time, please sign up to come out with us and knock doors. You don't have to be a PCO to do this. Every endorsed candidate that we have would love to have you sign up for their campaign. But these two events are sort of the coordinated campaign. We are going to be out there looking to, sell in all of our candidates. On the 9th of October, it's a Saturday. We are going to be meeting at Burien Press. This is a joint event with KC Dems as well as the 33rd.
Excuse me, the 9th of October is a Monday.
Oh, yep, correct. Thank you.
It's formerly Columbus Day.
And that may actually be my fault that it might be wrong on one of my little graphics here. But yes, it is the 7th, which is a Saturday. We will be meeting at Burien Press. We'll do sort of a little rally. We've got some candidates showing up. I will tell you, we've been meeting every single Saturday since late August to door knock, and we have very few people showing up. So please consider coming out and volunteering at least that day, if not other days. And if you're interested in doing this, I will hook you up. There's a link to a sign-up sheet that I'll put in the chat here in a second, but it's also available in every single email that goes out that's not a member email. If you want to sign up and get hooked into canvassing. And it's funny, when I was chair, I know a couple of times I got emails from folks in the community that said, why are you encouraging door knocking? That is so old school. You know what? We do that because it works. The national party, the state party, all the locals, it works. That's what we do. Voter contact gets the vote out. So that's why we do this, and we need your help. So please consider signing up for either the Burien or the West Seattle canvas. October 21st is right after ballots drop, and that is go time. PCOs will also be able to pick up their walk literature that day on the 21st. So please mark your calendars for those dates. Come out, walk doors, knock doors with me, knock doors with the candidates. We really need your help. So thank you. I will get a link to the sign up form as soon as I stop talking. Back to you, Graham.
All right, thank you. And I just have one more quick announcement during these opening ceremonies. I need to share that Dorothy Gasek resigned as our PCO chair last month. And we really thank Dorothy for her leadership and participation since January, including helping us get through the primary. So thank you so much for your work and time commitment and all that you put into the role. We do need a new PCO chair, and especially as we look ahead to 2024, some really big races then. So please do contact me if you can throw your hat in the ring. All right, we now have endorsement to consider for Seattle School Director District 1. I'm going to just briefly, since we've done the last two meetings, briefly just remind everyone of our bylaws as they relate to endorsements. A candidate must yield 60% of the vote to win an endorsement on the first ballot. If only one candidate, well, we have two candidates, so we'll ignore that first sub bullet. So two candidates, if there's a winner in the first round or no, either a winner or no endorsement, we will, if only two candidates, there's either a winner, no endorsement, or we can consider a dual endorsement. So, so if no candidate gets 60% and the vote with two candidates, we'll consider a dual endorsement. A motion must be made and seconded to consider a dual endorsement. That also requires a 60% majority. Both candidates that are eligible for endorsement this evening have identified folks that they want to make a motion for them and second their endorsement. So I will just call on those folks knowing who they are. And then speeches, there are speeches for and against, 2 minutes each. If you're speaking against a motion to endorse, you may not use that as an opportunity to speak for a different candidate. That's out of order. Each vote will be 2 minutes on a timer, and it's your responsibility to vote in that order, in that window. And then if you can't vote using the Zoom ballot for whatever reason, you can text your vote to 206-290-4076 and include your first and last name in your text so that we can verify your membership. And we'll have that on the next page. All right, so since this is our, we're going to move forward with the Seattle School Director District 1. And at this point, if you're unfamiliar with how the school board vote happens in Seattle, they're all citywide now. So previously in the primary, the districts were distributed, and you could only vote for your particular candidates in your district. And now all the candidates have to run across the city, and that's why we can consider other races that we could not before, including this one. So this is for Seattle School Director District 1. We have two eligible candidates, Debbie Carlson and Liza Rankin. I'm gonna recognize now Carla Rogers for a motion. You're muted.
And there is good reason for that mute. Thank you. I'd like to motion for Debbie Carlson for Seattle School Board District 1.
All right, now I'm going to recognize Roxanne Thayer.
I second that motion.
All right, and now the chair now recognizes Bunny Hatcher.
I would like to nominate Liza Rankin for a school board.
All right, and the chair recognizes Julie Whitaker.
I would like to second that motion.
All right, thank you. So we now have two candidates that motions have been made. We'll consider each motion for speeches one at a time. I'm going to first call on the person who made the motion. They can use their time to speak or turn it over to the candidate. And let me get a timer here on my phone ready. We're doing this with a bit of a skeleton crew this time. So Carla, you have 2 minutes to speak to your motion, or you may yield all or part of your time to the candidate.
Thank you, Graham. As a parent and former PTA president of Alki Elementary, Madison Middle, and West Seattle High School, I motion the endorsement for Debbie Carlson to provide the change agent that the Seattle School Board needs right now. With that, I cede the balance of my time to the candidate.
Thank you, and good evening, 34th Dems. My name is Debbie Carlson, and I'm running for Seattle School Board Director in District 1. I'm an early learning educator and an advocacy consultant for Washington Communities for Children. And I have a first grader in Olympic Hills Elementary. We have declining enrollment rates, poor labor relations, another projected budget deficit in the next school year, and we are failing our students academically. The district and board believe we need to close schools and disrupt students and families. I disagree. We should not close schools and create another district crisis. Experience is great, except for when things aren't working. The status quo isn't working. The board is splintered. I want to bring cohesiveness, active listening, and strategic vision to fully fund our schools. I can bring a different set of skills as an educator and a former executive director of coalition building, systems change, and policy development that centers our students. I want smaller class sizes, higher academic achievement for all students, and student voices to be heard around climate change. Our schools need to be a place of safety and a place of belonging for everyone. I am running to increase transparency from the district, especially when crucial decisions are being made, to increase authentic community engagement, and I believe representation matters. And I want to be an out strong LGBTQ+ voice on the board. I have been endorsed by Seattle Education Association, MLK Labor Council, WEPAC, Teresa Mosqueda, and more. I would be honored to earn your endorsement this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Would any PCO or eligible member like to speak against this motion to endorse? Any PCO or eligible member? All right, if there's no speech against, speeches are closed on this motion. We'll now move to the next motion for candidate Liza Rankin. The chair recognizes Bonnie Hatcher. You may use all your time or yield it to the candidate.
Thank you. The candidate is currently is a member of the school board and is currently in a school board meeting. So has asked me to speak for her because she's in a school board meeting. She's running for re-election because this is a critical time for public education. We really need board directors who know our communities, schools, the complexities of the budget, and the enrollment challenges that the schools are facing, and who can navigate the demands of the system while prioritizing equity and centering our students. She has a proven record of progressive student-centered policy work, institutional knowledge, and community relationships from a decade of advocacy and continued support of positive progress in Seattle public schools, both locally and at the state level. She's led the work on Board Policy 0010 to make inclusion a general education initiative. She also led work on Board Policy 3246, which was approved in 2021 to ban isolation and limit restraint in Seattle public schools, both practices that are disproportionately experienced by students in K-5, boys, Black students, students with disability, and homeless and foster students. She successfully fought for services and housing for 50 community members living homeless on school district property instead of a sweep by the city of Seattle. She's elevated gun violence prevention resources and annual proclamation in district communications and supported legislative understanding and advocacy after the tragic shooting death of an Ingram High School student. She's increased support through legislative and district advocacy for mental health support and resources for students, and has led legislative priority development and advocacy across the board. She's been endorsed by the 34th own Senator Joe Nguyen, Senator Javier Valdez, and Representatives Pollitt and Farivar from the 46th.
Bunny, sorry, I got to cut you off. Time's up.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any speeches against this motion? Any PCO eligible member would like to make a speech against this motion? All right. The chair recognizes Heather Barker.
Yes, thank you. As a member of
Sorry,
SAA,
let me start the timer. Hold on
Sure.
1 second. Okay, go ahead.
as a member of SAA, I just feel there has been some issues with this candidate around access and listening to union members. So I'm leery to support her, and so I will not be voting to endorse her.
All right. Roxanne, as the person who seconded the motion, would you like to speak for 2 minutes?
I would turn my 2 minutes over to the candidate.
Well, the candidate's not here, right?
No, I didn't second. I wasn't the second.
Oh, I'm sorry, Julie. I confused.
I'm sorry, which candidate are we talking about?
Liza.
Liza,
That-
because someone spoke against her. So-
Yes.
Oh. Okay. Well, I don't really know what she means about issues about access. I would say that she's the candidate with the experience that's done this, that's accomplished things and gotten things done. And I believe she would be the best candidate. I guess I'm gonna stop there because I'm kind of put on the spot right now. But
Is there-
given the information that I found and researched, I believe she is the strongest candidate for this position and has been there and done that and knows how to do it. So that's where I go.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? We have one more speech against available. Anyone else like to speak against this motion? All right. Then we will, now that we've heard all the speeches are now closed. We've heard all the motions. We will now open it up to voting. So we will launch the ballot. As soon as it's ready, there it goes. So everyone has 2 minutes to cast your vote.
Please remember that only PCOs and members of the 34th are
Thank
eligible.
you. Yes.
Not me.
And we do check that. So even if you accidentally vote, it will be disregarded.
No, I'm not sneaky. I respect the process.
If you live in the 34th, you could always join us.
I know, you're definitely stirring some passions, and not voting is painful.
Yes, I know Frida Love is based in West. Are you based in West Seattle?
I am, yes.
Okay. Well, then you're in the 34th. Yeah, go ahead.
I know, I'll have to learn more. I won't ask here. I know the website probably has it, so I won't waste time.
We would love to have you join us. You have wonderful energy.
Thank you so much. I feel the same about all of you. And it's so special to be able to listen in on this kind of like community action. So
Okay, just want to reiterate that voting members have 1.5 minutes, or excuse me, 30 more
30
seconds.
seconds. Yeah.
Sorry, I was going the wrong direction. 30 seconds to vote.
type fast.
And then we'll tally the votes, but we'll move forward with our agenda while we're waiting for the votes to be checked for accuracy and that everyone that is eligible to vote, or that no one that's ineligible to vote voted. All right, I think the ballot is now closed. Thank you everyone who voted. And Hannah will be calculating those votes on the back end and let us know when they are ready. And Hannah, feel free to unmute when there's a break in the program to let us know, or send me a text, whatever works for you. All right, so I am now, let me pull up our presentation. Here we go. All right. So I'm pleased to welcome our first guest of the evening, and it's getting late now, so I better turn on my light here. Please welcome Port Commissioner Ryan Calkins to the 34th. I met Commissioner Calkins at an event a few months ago, and he personally requested that he has an opportunity to come and meet with members of the 34th and share news about the port. And I'm glad to have him join us here tonight. He was first elected to the port in 2017 and re-elected in 2021. He's also executive director of Edge Cluster, which is a nonprofit organization that uses emerging technologies to support statewide economic development. And he's going to share a brief update with us on seaport and airport issues with a particular focus on environmental justice efforts. And there will also be time for questions. And we have 20 minutes set aside on the agenda for this presentation. So Commissioner Calkins, I'll turn it over to you. And if you are, I don't know if you're muted.
I'm on. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yep.
Hey, yeah, so I've got my video on as well. So good evening, everyone. Thanks for taking a little time to get an update from the Port of Seattle. I like to start these presentations by just saying how much I love this job. It is truly a great position to hold. I feel like it's a privilege to get to do this work. You know, there's 5 of us on the commission right now. It's a truly historic commission as well, if you're familiar with the makeup. 3 of my colleagues are in their early 30s, are people of color, 2 of whom are women of color. Sam Cho, the first person of color to be the a port president. And I'll tell you, from the standpoint of getting to have a front row seat to the leadership that my colleagues have demonstrated, it's just truly a great time to be at the Port of Seattle. We're pushing into areas in environmental justice and equity in particular that I think are setting examples for ports around the country and the world, and also just for public agencies generally. Representation really matters, and you can see it in the strength of the leadership of my colleagues. I want to share a little bit about some kind of general updates on the seaport and airport side of things, and then just take a little bit of time to share about some of what I'm passionate about. We're working on at the Port of Seattle. And I think we have, 20 minutes total, Graham, or 20 minutes plus 10 for Q&A? Total, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep my presentation short because I'd love to just hear from you all as well, and just find out if there's other things that I could either take as homework assignments back and report back to you on, or just be able to answer off the cuff if I can. So let me start by addressing the seaport side of things. We at the Port of Seattle have one of the most diverse maritime port authorities anywhere in the country. If you think about all the different lines of business that we engage in, you know, we're, as most people know, a major shipping port, which is why in your district you get to look out and see those giant ultra-large container ships that come in and call at T5 and 18 and 46. But we're also the home port of the Alaska fishing fleet. So the vast majority of the landed catch in the United States comes through vessels that make their home port in Seattle. And we have this unique ecosystem in Ballard and Inner Bay that serves those vessels when they're not on season. And, you know, that's the historic roots of the Port of Seattle is a fishing hub. Along with that, we have the cruise terminals. We have 3 cruise terminals or 3 berths at 2 terminals. And we're the home port for most of the cruise ships that do the Alaska corridor. We're also a grain terminal. So the T86 grain terminal at the north end of the harbor is vital for grain exports that start in the Midwest and make their way around the world. And we're also one of the, by expenditure, one of the largest environmental agencies in the state. You know, we are currently in the midst of planning for remediation on 2 Superfund sites. And we've done a bunch of early actions on the Duwamish River to clean up historic legacy pollution that was either associated with the Port of Seattle or with other maritime entities that may no longer exist. And so therefore it falls to the public agency to address it. Or where they're in dispute right now. And we are stepping up as a public agency to ensure that those cleanups happen. The biggest next thing for the Seaport is the opening of phase 2 of T5. That will ensure that we have one of the premier container terminals on the West Coast, proudly staffed by ILWU Local 19, and representing the potential for over 1 million container moves per year out of that harbor. It is going to be a state-of-the-art facility in so many ways, in particular on sustainability and community engagement measures. So there's a quiet zone there to ensure that nighttime operations don't impact the local residents. There are sustainability measures, including shore power for all ships that come in, electrification of cargo handling equipment, and a whole host of other stormwater issues that where we have gone above and beyond the regulations to ensure that it's a clean and quiet facility for our neighbors. At the airport, we are nearly back to pre-pandemic levels of passenger volume. And each day, it seems, we're announcing a new route. Just today, we announced a new Lufthansa flight to Munich. Maybe it was yesterday, I think, actually. So if you enjoy traveling to Europe, you now have another gateway to Europe through Munich. And our issue is quite different on the airport side of things, whereas on the seaport side, we are out actively seeking new business as our terminal utilization is below what we'd like. At the airport, we are, as you all know, if you've traveled through there, bursting at the seams, and we are trying to find ways to comfortably fit the passenger demand through one of the smallest footprints of any large hub airport in North America. To the credit of our staff, we are doing so now with very high levels of customer service, but particularly in comparison to our peer airports in North America. For the last 2 years, we've been the highest rated large airport in North America through passenger surveys and something called the Skytrax rating system. We took that crown away from Vancouver, so it's especially satisfying to know that one of our greatest competitors was, they had won it 8 years running. And we took that crown away, and now we're reigning champs 2 years in a row, and we're going to keep pursuing that. It involves a whole host of things, from the obvious stuff like clean bathrooms and short wait times and all that kind of stuff, but also to the things like how we treat our staff at the airport, and so we take all those things really seriously. We have a requirement by the FAA to try to accommodate their forecasted demand. But the fact is, on the acreage we have with the 3 runways that we have, there will come a point where we hit our ceiling and we're no longer able to accommodate that. And so we've been working to advise those who are looking at where can additional commercial aviation demand go in Washington State. We don't weigh in on where it should go, but we provide the kind of expertise that only we have as the large airport for the Pacific Northwest. And that's a really hard public policy conversation, but we're doing our best to provide the kind of insight that we think is important to making a good decision around that. We're also really cognizant of the environmental impact of our operations at both the seaport and the airport. And so we are committed to being the greenest port in North America. And that involves making hard decisions around, particularly around budget issues, to take the kind of leading edge steps on environmental sustainability usually is a bit more expensive than the sort of easy way. But that's something we've committed to. You can see that in our agreement to purchase renewable natural gas for all of the natural gas demand at the airport, which includes our boilers, our shuttle buses, to the decision to install shore power at every facility along the waterfront in the central Seattle waterfront, so that every ship that is shore power capable is able to plug in. I see there's a couple of questions popping up, and I'll jump to those when I wrap up the intro remarks. But the final thing I want to focus on is a couple of projects that I'm working on in particular that I think are really looking at what will the work of the port be in the next 20 years. And the first one I want to highlight is the opportunity for maritime generally to become the principal source of climate action. And by climate action, I mean those steps that we can take to slow and eventually reverse greenhouse gas emissions so that we can truly address climate change. And the reason I believe that maritime is so essential to that is because 70% of the Earth's surface is the ocean. And the ocean is a giant carbon sink. It has so far what has been our saving grace and its ability to capture so much of the carbon that we've emitted already. But it also promises to be a key to preventing further harm as a result of climate change. And so those steps can be a couple of things. One, the use of waterways, oceans, rivers, et cetera, coastal, intercoastal waterways to move goods and people is far and away the most efficient means of moving things in terms of GHG emissions per pound or however, whatever metric you want to use. And so we actually need to expand the use of maritime transportation and replace terrestrial and air transportation with maritime transportation to bring down global emissions. The second thing is there is immense opportunities to capture renewable energy in the ocean space, what they call marine hydrokinetics, which are things like tidal and wave action used to power generators, and also offshore wind. And just recently, California announced 5 successful auction leases for areas off of the California coast to produce renewable energy through offshore wind. Oregon is slated to do so next year. And we are a part of a conversation around whether that is appropriate for Washington State. We believe that that needs to be done first and foremost by bringing all the potentially impacted stakeholders to the table, including coastal communities, fisheries, and outside of stakeholders, governments, including the tribal governments along the coast. And so we are advancing a conversation around that discussion because we believe in our efforts to shutter as many coal and natural gas power plants as possible, as quickly as possible. We need to be looking at every industrial scale source of renewable energy that is currently feasible. So we're looking at how we might support that. Even these recently announced wind farms in California, what role could the Port of Seattle play in the supply chain to get those things online as quickly as possible? At the airport, we have long been a conversation around sustainable aviation fuels. And the next step in that is to look at alternative forms of aviation that don't require liquid fuels, but could potentially be electric or some sort of battery hybrid that would allow for aviation without fossil fuels. And I see I'm burning through my time here, and I want to honor what I said at the outset, which is leave some time for Q&A. And I'm going to open up the chat and maybe start.
I can moderate the questions for you.
Okay,
so
great.
I'll go in the order in which they were received. So we have one question from Stephen, and then I know Roxanne has her hand up and I'll get to her next. But from Stephen, will you pledge to preserve North SeaTac Park and the surrounding trees?
Thank you for that question. Yeah, that has been one of the most, it's been a big riddle to solve for us at the port. And I think we're close to solving it so that we can say definitively that North SeaTac Park will be a permanent park for the community. It was, for those who are very familiar with it, this may be redundant, but essentially what had happened was the FAA provided some money decades ago for the airport to purchase land north of the runways that historically had been some residential area. We converted it into green space and then provided a long-term lease to the city of SeaTac for most of that acreage to be used as a park at something like $1 a year, essentially. But we were caught in this conundrum where we couldn't do anything other than preserve it under the FAA rules for what we could use it for, which was aviation-related uses, until we worked with our delegation to try to find a fix. we're waiting on the final FAA reauthorization bill to go through that would finalize that and would allow us the space to do that. So that, I guess it's sort of yes with an asterisk. As soon as we get that we clear that last hurdle, I think, and I think we're almost there. And it's the intention of all 5 of us on the commission to do so. I don't want to leave any doubt there.
Roxanne, you have a question? Your hand's up.
Oh, for God's sakes.
I do. So I live on Vashon Island, and we are victims of NextGen. Basically, the sky over Vashon Island was condemned, and we have flights when it's north flow, south flow every 2 minutes, sometimes every 3 minutes, starting at about 3:45 in the morning and going until 11 strong, and then goes till about 1 in the morning, a little less frequently. The problem is that decision was made from a map that didn't have Vashon Island on it. So the FAA made their decision with thinking perhaps this was open water. The problem with NextGen is that these flights used to be 2,000 feet higher, 8,000 feet over Vashon Island, and they cruised all the way to their turn in North Elliott Bay. Now they're at 6,000 feet to as low as 3,000 feet in the middle of the night. And they have to be using fuel starting in Tacoma, far before even Vashon Island. Several problems with that is, one, studies that have come out regarding people living underneath NextGen flight paths. The sound studies have proven that communities are suffering from much higher incidences of cardiac death. For 70 years, these flights were dispersed across Puget Sound, and everyone had a little bit for 70 years, and they were 2,000 feet higher, at least. So Vashon Island has tried to have a voice in this. Twice I met with Commissioner Cho at different political events, and twice he said, oh yeah, no problem. We can get you either on the Highline Forum or the START Committee. These are 2 committees of communities that are affected by air noise. So I said, great. And the second time I met with him, great, he's going to work to get us on there. And I didn't hear anything, and we sent an email. We have an organization on Vashon Island dealing with this. It's Vashon Island Fair Skies. And I contacted Commissioner Cho again because the START Committee, where we really need to have a voice because we are a badly affected community, we had so many people from Vashon Island attending, more from Vashon Island than any other community. Vashon Island also has more households complaining and more instances of complaints than any other place, largely due to the fact that we are rural and the sounds of airplanes are magnified by quite a bit because there's no background noise. And so we were waiting for Commissioner Cho to get back to us and get us seated on at least the START Committee. And in the meantime, because we had such a high attendance, they shut down in the Zoom meetings, they shut down community participation. You can't see who is present at the meeting. You're allowed to ask a question, but you can't see anybody, and no one can see how many people are attending from where. So then
we're running out of time. So I just
okay, I'll be 2 seconds.
Yeah,
3 months later, Commissioner Cho got back to me with a letter that said, absolutely not. Vashon Island will have no representation whatsoever on any of these committees. We know that the Port of Seattle commissioners can change that, and they can seat us. When is that going to happen? When are you going to allow a badly affected community to have a seat? And when are you guys going to start complaining? If you're environmentally concerned, when are you going to start complaining about the issue of the far larger carbon footprint by the airplanes with NextGen than before? Thank you.
Thank you, Roxanne. I'll answer quickly because I don't want to bleed into the next guest's time, but I want to say, I think you're taking the right approach, which is recognizing that you need to enlist us commissioners to advocate for this as well. You know, those flight passes, you're well aware, are determined by the FAA. And as you said, with the changes in approaches toward the next gen system, it concentrated all the flights over a relatively small area instead of having them spread out over large, sort of, you know, compelling everyone to share a little bit in the pain. We have been very interested in learning. You have a couple of folks on Vashon who have put a ton of time into proposing what look to us like reasonable alternatives to this. So I think you're on the right track. We need to have this advocacy voice. I don't want to speak on behalf of the commissioners who serve on the Highline Forum right now. My understanding is that the Highline Forum is a forum in which both parties have veto. The 6 cities that are currently represented and the port can veto actions like the inclusion of a new city in that or a new area in that. So I don't want to speak out of turn because I don't know what steps have been taken to address your particular request. But I will follow up with you, Roxanne, and find out where Commissioner Cho is on this and whether there's movement on that. So thank you for raising that point.
Thank you. And Roxanne, maybe we could put your email in the chat too.
Or I'll put mine in too as well.
Okay.
So everybody can reach me.
And then I think we will just have 2 more questions, one of them being mine. Ann Martin is asking, why is the public bus metro stop relegated to the distant end of the airport terminal? This issue touches on climate, social justice, and environmental justice. Other airports have provided more central bus
I love this
access.
question. I think it's a fantastic suggestion. We're right in the middle of a process right now examining the mode use to the airport. And our goal is to try to get people to use modes that, based on a series of criteria, one of which is environmental sustainability. And for me, that's the highest value. There's a handful of other things, but we're using a digital twin right now to examine how different interventions in other words, different changes that we could make would shift traffic to and from the airport. And the short answer to the question is, I really like that idea. I will suggest, how would it change things if let's say we had them enter and use the shuttle bus entrance to the garage and then be able to exit sooner, or put them at the north end of the terminal instead of the south end. I really like that suggestion. A big question for me is how do we get fewer people to do kiss and fly? Otherwise, in other words, drive people to the airport, drop them off, and then go pick them up. That creates double the amount of traffic. It's also everybody in single occupancy vehicles. And it would be great if we could get people to use mass transit and carpools and other means of getting to the airport. So that's what we're pursuing right now, including looking at ways to potentially introduce an access fee so that currently the only people who can use the airport drives for free are those that are there to drop people off. If you park, if you're in a shuttle bus, if you're in an Uber or a taxi, you're paying a fee to access there. The only people that don't are in private vehicles. So we're looking at what it would be like to change that.
And for those of us that are bad and park there, I'll just note, I don't think those new lights are quite working. Those new indicators.
We're struggling with smart cars and motorcycles. We're trying to figure it out, but our AI is getting better, Graham. We'll get it soon.
Okay, the last question is mine. I'm curious, the Burien homeless situation. So there's been questions about where to put potential pallet shelters or temporary tiny homes. Port property has come up multiple times. How familiar are you with that issue, and what's the port's feeling about it?
The area that has been, so the city of Burien proposed a particular area that is currently port owned. We do not believe that's an area that anybody should inhabit because it was actually, we purchased it in order to as part of an area that is off of the end of a runway. And so we don't believe that putting people under a runway is an appropriate place to put them, essentially.
Yeah, that's reasonable. That makes sense. All right. Well, thank you so much, Commissioner. I appreciate your time this evening. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you all. And thanks for giving me the time tonight. I left my email in the chat, so please reach out if you have any further questions.
Thank you. All right. Well, I'm also pleased to share our next guest, introduce our next guest tonight, Chair of the King County Democrats, Carrie Barnes. Over the last few months, I've had the chance to get to know Chairperson Barnes through our joint efforts to find solutions to the humanitarian crisis in Burien. She's been a wonderful engaged partner with us on 34th, and I know she'd like to briefly share about KCD activities as well as some information about the organization's endorsement process. And we'll have 20 minutes on the agenda for this as well, including question and answer. Carrie, welcome. And, oh, did we? Oh, it looks like we may have lost her temporarily. I know she's been here the whole meeting, so. Okay. Well, hopefully we'll get her back on the call.
Well, Graham, in the
Yeah.
meantime, I'm happy to share the
Yeah.
results of our endorsement vote for the school board. By a vote of 70%, we have endorsed Debbie Carlson for Seattle School Director, District 1.
Thank you, Hannah. Thank you for everyone who voted, and congratulations, Debbie, on your endorsement.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor. Thank you, everyone.
Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt. There was an additional question. If we're kind of looking for Carrie, could we ask Ryan Elizabeth's question that was in the chat?
I may have missed that. I don't see it. Was it sent directly to you? Perhaps that may be why.
Perhaps.
But I
so
think he's
question is,
gone anyway.
Oh, he's gone. Oh,
Yeah.
shoot. Okay.
Why don't we do the resolution while we wait to get Carrie back? Just keep things moving.
Yeah.
I'll
All right.
text Carrie.
All right, so yeah, let's move forward with the resolution. I will get that up on the screen. So, so for those of you that joined us at our August meeting, we had the Carrie Bull from Fair Vote Washington. She's here tonight, present on ranked choice voting in the presidential election. And we are now, as we kind of shared in that meeting, that we would be considering a potential resolution at a future meeting. We are now at that future meeting, and the board has decided to, at our last board meeting, to submit a resolution to membership for consideration without a recommendation on how to vote. So the board can choose to recommend to membership to approve a resolution, can choose not to put forward a resolution. In this instance, that we've decided to put forward a resolution without a recommendation. And I'm going to turn it over to Bunny to briefly introduce the resolution, and then we'll move forward from there.
Thank you. As Graham said, it's the board voted to forward this to the membership for their vote without making a recommendation for or against this resolution. When we talk about ranked choice voting, we've reviewed this. We had a presentation on it before, but it's a way to allow people to perhaps have their second choice when their first choice is eliminated. The problem has been that about a quarter of all candidates dropped out by the time or were eliminated in a top two. So people feel like their vote, if they didn't vote for one of those two candidates, got wasted. And here in our state, we have the highest rate of those so-called wasted votes. And ranked choice voting lets us just kind of stack the candidates, so people are more likely to get a candidate that they find appealing if their top choice candidate is the philosophy behind ranked choice voting. The DNC has also approved the use of it for delegate selection for their 2024 presidential primary. This, I think they're talking about only using it in 2028. So they're asking that we resolve to call on our representatives to support the passage of legislation to allow ranked choice voting only in the presidential primary of 2028, now that we have a primary instead of a caucus. And further resolves that we call upon the legislature to pass and sign it for the presidential primary. So I'm going to hand it off to Anne at this point, I think, to talk a little more about the resolution.
Well, I think before we do that, I think we have to have a motion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I will move adoption of this resolution. And also note that Carrie Bull is available if there are questions briefly.
Great. Is there a second?
Second from Stephen.
Thank you. All right, so we have a motion on the table, 2 slots available to speak in favor, 2 slots are available to speak against the motion. And as the person who sponsored the motion, you have the floor for 2 minutes to speak for the resolution.
Thanks. House Bill 1592, which was introduced last year, is the subject of this resolution. Representative Fitzgibbon, who could not be here tonight, was one of the first 4 of 21 House sponsors of the bill. In Washington State's 2020 presidential primary, a quarter of the votes, as been noted, cast went to candidates who were no longer in the race. These votes did not contribute to assigning delegates to candidates. No matter where we live or how we vote, we should be able to have our votes count and have our values represented. In 2020, I voted for Elizabeth Warren. By the day of the primary, she had dropped out of the race. I knew this could be the case, but despite my disappointment, I wanted to have my values represented in my vote. Had I been able to rank my vote, I could have voted my values and still had a voice in the ultimate party decision. Ranked choice voting does not take power away from the parties. The political parties will still control how votes are delegated. It simply enfranchises voters by giving the voter more voice. I also believe this will encourage younger people to participate in our primary process, which I think is something that we all care about. And for those who want to vote for one candidate, they can do it. King County Elections is already working to administer ranked choice voting for Seattle primaries. The needed technology exists and is being used elsewhere. Data science is a thing. Let's maintain Washington State's position as a leader in voting rights. Let's encourage democracy. Please vote to pass this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Perfectly timed. Ted, did you raise your hand to speak against the motion?
Yes, I did.
Okay. 2 minutes.
Okay. I may not be as well timed, but that's okay. I'll try. There's a 3 points I really want to hit on about ranked choice voting that I don't like. One is our party is trying to promote itself as the party of voter inclusion. And I think that's really important. And I think that's great. And I don't think that we further that cause by presenting people with a ballot that they might find confusing because they have to name off a bunch of candidates. And I'm hesitant to say this because I know it's going to sound a little bit condescending, but I think we need to, as the kids say, touch grass here a little bit. And we need to realize that if you polled the city, of Seattle residents 2 weeks before the primary for our D1 race, where there are 8 candidates on the ballot, and asked them to name 4, a small percentage would have been able to do that. I mean, we are quite insular and we're so plugged into this compared to people on the whole that I think have a misconception of what people can and are willing to do. The other thing is transparency. You have this vote go into a system where it has to basically be calculated out by a machine to rank, to do a ballot, peel off the people that didn't go forward, then go to their next choice, this and that. How would you do a hand recount on that? And, I have witnessed a hand recount at King County elections, 44,000 votes, and only about 3 votes changed. It was amazing the work that the elections do. But how can you do a hand recount on that? And how can people know that their vote is being counted properly?
Ted, I gotta cut you off.
All right, sorry.
Thank you. Stephen, since you seconded, would you like to speak for 2 minutes? Or allow someone else to? It's up to you.
I'll pass.
Okay, Chris, your hand's up. Do you want to speak for 2 minutes?
I'm sorry, I was gonna speak against.
Okay, well, someone has to speak for before you can speak against. Anyone like to speak for the motion? Anyone like to speak for it? Dorothy, your hand's up. Dorothy, are you looking to speak for the motion? You're muted if you're.
There. Now, can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you now.
I'm speaking for the motion.
Okay, I'm going to start the timer. There you go.
We're approaching a presidential primary. And if people do not know who the presidential candidates are, that is on them. It's not on any problem with a voting system. Bear in mind that Alaska had ranked choice voting. Maine, I believe, has ranked choice voting. It's really not difficult for people to read and just indicate their ranked choices. And there are systems that can certainly tabulate these results. And I don't believe anything was questioned in Alaska, nor do I think anything happened in Maine, which I'm almost positive has ranked choice voting. We're talking a presidential primary. It is not a city council race where a lot of people do not know the 8 candidates that run. So I really feel that this would be a great opportunity for those people to express their preferences. It gets tabulated, and then I think everybody feels comfortable. And that's it.
All right. Chris, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. My frustration with ranked choice voting isn't the process of it, but where we stand with voting itself. We've spent a lot of effort trying to convince folks that this is the right path to go. And one of the frustrating parts about this is what just happened in our last primary. Only 36% of the 74,000 voters in our district even bothered to submit a ballot, leaving 48,000 voters out. I believe instead of just trying to push forward this ranked choice voting, the bigger challenge for us is to engage those 48,000 voters that didn't submit a ballot. This was the same thing that resulted in our with the city attorney that we now have. 20,000 people decided not to submit a ballot, and it's arguable that the outcome would have been vastly different. It isn't an issue of ranked choice voting. This is an issue of voter engagement. So I am not in support of this because we are shifting away, it feels like, from our primary mission of trying to engage voters and getting them, whether it's ranked choice voting or not, to simply return the ballot. And we also suffer from ballot fatigue, although it's gotten better, where the ballots are so long that voters complain about that. So before we get to that, I would be better settled if we had greater voter engagement and we centered our energy and time around that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, speeches are now closed, so we will open up the ballot. This requires a simple majority to approve.
May I ask a question after, or is this a members
Sure.
only?
Well,
Okay.
you can ask a question, yeah, once we get the ballot
Cool.
closed, that would be. So this will be approve or deny 50% plus 1. It means that it passes. There it is. right, so we'll have this up for 2 minutes.
Just to clarify, we should not vote if we're not members, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Sorry, only members and PCOs can vote.
It makes my job easier on the back end. So thank you.
Absolutely. I just saw the second question. I thought maybe I should not vote in the first place.
I know it's sad for us.
But do become a member. You get to do cool stuff like vote.
I am a member in my district. Thank you. Otherwise, yes.
Sorry, yeah, Araya, if you want to ask your question while folks are voting.
Okay, I've been trying to figure out how to word it in my head, so I'll do my best. I guess part of the argument of engagement, I get how this could encourage engagement. Like Mr.
Excuse me, I
Yeah,
I
if it's
think
not
that a
we'll hold off on the
question
question.
relating to the subject matter of
Yes,
the
yes,
vote
yes,
is
yes, I am.
probably
Ranked
needs to
voting.
wait until after the vote is closed.
You're right. Thank
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't know if it was a technical question or not.
And Graham, I'll take this bit of space. I have not heard back from Carrie.
Okay,
I'm not sure what happened, but she.
well, maybe we'll see her in October in person.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
All right, the ballot is now closed. Okay, you want to ask your question now? Sorry. We'll take
No,
one
you're so good.
question. Yeah.
I guess maybe it's a question of timing. I think there is a power to ranked choice voting. I think its weakness is that people lack the education to understand it or not be afraid of it. I think it could both encourage voters to vote and feel like their vote is counted, and it could also discourage them out of fear. So maybe it's just a timing thing where there needs to be time educating people on what it is, and then is implemented when it feels like, because there's already a transparency issue with voting. We've seen a push on fake news and the votes aren't real and the election's rigged and whatever else. So this could even push for more transparency and be a reason to really advocate for it. And I think as far as the youth vote, like I think it was Mr. Porter was talking about, our youth vote for the midterms was very sad, to say the least. And I think there's someone by the name of Ilana Glazier, and she runs this thing called Generator Collective that educates youth state by state on basically who's up for nominations. And I think having someone like that talk about ranked choice voting, someone that connects and educates and then clearly tells youth what this is, because when I Google it, I learn more, but I'm also confused, and I don't have spaces like this with all of you where I feel like I can ask like minds, like, what is this? And so I think it's just a balancing act of finding a way to clearly educate, to lean on the side of it that does encourage engagement instead of like fearful avoidance. And that it's really important that who's pushing it is someone that deeply understands the purpose behind it, not just the like, oh, it makes it feel like you matter more. It's like, no, here's the like statistical evidence of how it helps, because I have a fear around how does it interact with the electoral caucus? Are we going to have to settle more? Because I already feel like sometimes I have to settle for candidates. And I think if I had someone that was clearly like, here's how it would actually help you settle less, and here's how it would actually improve transparency and helped me feel less afraid of it would, or afraid maybe is the wrong word, less confused about it, I think would then encourage me to lean on it, because I'm hesitant, and like I can't remember who mentioned it, I'm pretty politically engaged, and even I'm confused and hesitant to touch it. So I think if there was someone that was like, here's what it is and here's how it helps you, and here's how to again, how it helps your engagement, how it helps with transparency, how you will have to settle less, if at all, I think would be a really helpful tool to have.
Well, I'm gonna, since our expert did show up tonight. I'm gonna turn it over to Carrie
Thank you.
to briefly share kind of education initiatives you've seen or are considering if this moves forward in the state, and then we'll move along.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks so much for even taking the time to consider it tonight. I really appreciate all of the thoughtfulness that has gone into this conversation. And it's just to address education pieces. We are specifically asking for this to pass in 2024 to use in 2028 so that we have 3.5 years to educate. I mean, we're well aware that this is, going to be new for everyone outside of Seattle. And I do know, like, right now we're working with King County Democrats, just always wants to jump off my tongue. We're working with King County on implementing ranked choice voting in Seattle, and they're so enthusiastic and they really want to see this done right. And we're collaborating to build education. I myself have been running events across the city all summer to meet people where they're at and help engage in ranked choice voting in casual settings so that it's not a surprise by the time they see it on their ballot. And just to speak a little bit to some other points I've heard tonight, ranked choice voting actually doesn't have any massive impact on voter turnout. I would love to tell you that it has a wild increase in turnout because people have more choice and more voice. And there is data to suggest that there is an increase in voter participation. But it doesn't, to be like very, very honest, it doesn't seem to change it hugely one way or the other. It truly just makes your vote matter that much more. We do see an increase in young voters, and we do see that the entire landscape of campaigning changes to be more positive, policy focused, and less about personality. Specifically for the presidential primaries, I don't know that it's going to solve that. What we're really hoping to do is enfranchise the almost 400,000 voters in Washington that didn't have their votes allocated towards delegates in 2020. That's the goal of this bill. Ranked choice voting has a lot of other places, a lot of other needs, but this bill is about enfranchising voters in Washington. So, but yes, lots of education we expect will go on. We are working with the Democratic Party on how they would educate and how they would promote this. So it's going on. We are very pro voter at Fair Vote Washington. So thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. And Hannah, do you have the results? Is that why your hand's raised?
Yes, that is why my hand is raised. But also I would just chime in that one of the cool things is like states get to be the laboratory for figuring this out. So as we all get to learn and participate in new ways, that helps people around the country get to have data and examples. And on that note, I will report that by a 61.9 to 38, well, 9.05, if we're getting technical, to 38.095, we go out to all the digits here. We have approved the adoption of the resolution.
Thank you. Congratulations, Carrie.
Thank you
All
all
right.
so much.
I'm sorry, would you repeat the numbers, please? For the record.
It is 61.905%. Yeah, and it is in our spreadsheet as well.
That's all I need. Yeah,
All right, we just have a couple more votes before we close out the meeting. So since our last meeting, as Julie shared at the top of the meeting, we have $825 remaining in our budget to disperse to candidates in this election cycle. The board has made a recommendation for how to distribute these funds at its August meeting, which is based on where funds are most needed. The board recommended we give $500 to Carlos Ruiz, who is our endorsed candidate running in Highline for school board against a conservative and frankly dangerous candidate for students. The board also recommended we give $325 to the Seattle housing levy campaign, which this membership endorsed that initiative at our last meeting, and it's critical to addressing our housing crisis. With that, and as we can entertain a motion, Chris, is your hand raised to make a motion on this?
It is. I move that we move forward with 500 to Carlos Ruiz and 325 to the Seattle Housing Levy.
325. Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Competition for second there. Steve, pick your choice.
Rock, paper, scissors.
All right. We will now move to our speeches for and against. Chris, do you want to speak for 2 minutes for this motion?
Yeah, I'll make, let me go to video, and I'll make this very brief. This LD has always tried to do what it can do to support Burien. And now it is really time for us to put our money where our mouth is. Mr. Ruiz has this incredible machine that he's up against, destined to change and roll back some of the successes and progress that Burien has made. This is our opportunity to make sure that he isn't discounted, that he has as much in his arsenal to fight this message machine that is working against the city and its citizens. So I urge you to support this. And of course, I think the housing levy goes without saying. Homelessness, housing insecurity remain a battle in this city, in this county, in this state, in this country, and any dollar, attention, or writings that we can do to support this is certainly in the favor of the entire community. So I urge everyone to support both of these contributions.
Thank you. Anyone like to speak against this motion? Any eligible member of PCO want to speak against this motion? All right, we will now move to a vote. I think we do a voice vote on this. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those say nay. All right, the motion passes. I will make these contributions within the next week. I'm now also thrilled to share with you that I have appointed Rebecca. And Rebecca, is it Rigo or Rego? Sorry if I.
You know, people in my family actually say both, but
Okay.
I go with Rego.
Rego. Okay. Thank you. Rebecca Rego to be our Young Democrats chair. When I met with Rebecca, I was really excited by her enthusiasm for building coalitions and ideas for helping the 34th move forward on local issues. She spent her career primarily in the social sector, which is near and dear to me as well, and currently serves as program director at Challenge Seattle. So I'm asking members tonight to confirm her appointment in accordance with our bylaws. Can someone please make a motion to approve the appointment of Rebecca? Yeah.
Oh, this is Hannah, and I make a motion to approve.
This is Chris, seconded.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. All right. Rebecca, you don't have to, but if you want to say anything, feel free.
No, just thanks y'all. And I'm very excited to be part of this group in this way. As Graham mentioned, my day job is very similar to this work and passionate about all the issues we discussed tonight. I work alongside Governor Gregoire in my day job, and she's actually the one who encouraged me to join the 34th LD. So pleased to be here, and thanks for the appointment.
All right. Well, hopefully she'll free up your time now to spend more time on it. All right. Thank you. We now have a few minutes for good of the order. Any good of the orders folks would like to share before we close out? Any good of the orders? All right.
I will say thank you for all the people who voted for the resolution, and thank you to the commenters both for and against the resolution. There's a lot of work to do, but I really believe that that ranked choice, rather than cutting people off, in particular for the presidential election, will encourage more voices to come forward. And as I said in my brief speech, that the values that are represented by your first choice really are important. And I think that it will affect the party and what happens in the long run. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Ted.
Hey, thanks. Some of you may or know that I also serve on the board of the West Seattle Food Bank. And the food bank, as you know, maybe don't know, merged with the West Seattle Helpline. And a great event that the Helpline has put on for years, the Taste of West Seattle, is coming back in its pandemic hiatus. So it is coming back September 28th, and it's going to be at Hall Fauntleroy. If you go to the West Seattle Food Bank website, find a link to sign up. And it's great. One admission cost gets you in and all the food you want. And you can sample everything from tons of different restaurants, bars, and things. And in West Seattle, it's a really fun event. So I hope you can make it. Thanks.
Maria?
I just wanted to thank everyone for this experience. It was awesome. Both for allowing me to share Free to Love and what we do and connect with you all, and just on a personal level. It always feels so good to connect with community and like minds. And as my parents can tell you, I love a good respectful debate. And so I'm just really grateful to learn more and share this space with you. And I think especially the last few years, given the political climate and just human struggles, it can feel really overwhelming and isolating. And to be around people that get that and also get the joys of democracy and caring about community spaces is really reinvigorating. And I think this feeling captured is what really encourages engagement and connection. So thank you all for your time.
Well, thank you. And we will be making an organizational contribution to Free to Love as well.
Thank you. A big virtual consensual hug to you for that. We really appreciate it.
All right. Finally, the next board meeting is scheduled for September 20th at 7 p.m. You can contact me for details. Our next membership meeting is on October 11th. Like I shared, we're trying to do that in person. So you can't quite register for it yet. We'll figure out the details and trying to work on special guests, but we will certainly have hopefully our candidates there for prior to the November election. And now if there's no further, and a reminder, join us with our friends at the 33rd at Elliott Bay Brewery in Burien. But now if there's no further business and there's no objection, hearing no objection, the meeting is adjourned at what time is it? 8:30 on the dot.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Carla.
everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
Graham. We appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks so much.
Good night. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Night.
Good night.
Bye.